A sat yogi is consciousness determined to discover the truth about the riddle of existence. To discover the truth, the yogi must not presuppose that the truth is already known, must not accept some prefabricated version of truth, but must discover this for oneself. And so the great aphorism of the ancient Indian traditions, summed up in that repetition of the single word neti, 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 not this, not this. Is the one guidance that is acceptable to a yogi on the path of truth. To realize for oneself, I am not this organism that is the vehicle of consciousness. I am not what I see in the mirror. I am not the memories of the past. I am not the thoughts that are built upon the conditionings of those memories. I am not the affects that may arise. I am none of the mental objects that appear, nor the physical objects that are sensed. I am not the experience that I may be having. I am not the imperience. I am not the dreams. I am not anything I can conceive of. It is that extraction of the self from all of its fixations, identifications, objectifications, that gradually bring consciousness to realize the naked self, the self without qualities, the nirgun self. And it is then that the spiritual journey truly begins. What is this qualityless presence? The neti neti takes you to the portal of the real. But now it is only the beginning of the journey of abiding in the real and discovering what the real itself unfolds, presents of its infinite nature. And one enters into a hidden dimension, unknowable to the body mind, to the ego mind that sits on the surface of the phenomenal pond and never dives into the depths. It is those depths that begin with the recognition of emptiness. That can only be plumbed through abiding in stillness, in silence, in nothingness. Beyond any sense of an individual I, beyond any story, beyond any fantasy, beyond any arising whatsoever. until the fission from that which arises to the consciousness and that which perceives is complete. Have you entered into that complete separation from the mind? It is this that brings one into timeless presence, spaceless, noumenal. It is here and now in this absolute 0 point that truth is revealed, that the real is. But all desire to grasp, to know, to change, to theorize, to utilize, to weaponize, to materialize, to profit from the real, brings one back into the loss of that and into the same anxieties and confusions that preceded the arrival at the real. The abidance in the naked truth of the real must be an abidance as the real, not as someone on a tourist trip to take a photograph of the real. There is no return from the real. When the real is encountered fully, then just like the raindrop that falls into the ocean, it can never be retrieved again. Its individuality has been lost forever. But what has been gained is its realization of the oceanic consciousness, beyond time and space, the changeless, the infinite blissful self. But most raindrops, when they get near the ocean, they stop and they say, oh no, and they try to go back to the cloud. This is what creates hailstorms. And they enter hail realms of inability to commit to unite with the ocean. And they would rather tell stories about how close they got to that ocean, but remain in some cloud of unknowing that confuses itself with the real. But a time comes when the ocean of consciousness can no longer be resisted. Because the gravity of the hailstone has accumulated too much suffering, too much frozenness in its past traumas, too much fear, too much illusory entityhood, too much history, too much sorrow, too much karma to bear. But no matter how large the hailstone, or how small, or how liquefied the drop, all dissolve the same. All are one. There is no difference. No matter what happened in that biographical journey of the illusory ego, all are the same one infinite ocean of presence, of intelligence, of bliss. And the ocean is an infinite ocean of laughter, of joy at the realization of the illusion. And there is no mind left that would wish for anything other than this eternal liberation. And because all of these raindrops and hailstones have emerged from the same ocean in the first place, they carry that ocean within. They have never been anything but that ocean. We are always that which we are seeking, or we are fleeing from, or we are thinking about committing to. But all of those illusory attitudes toward the real all take place ignorantly within the real, because there is nothing but the real. The ocean may extend itself as fog, as clouds, as storms, as every possible permutation of form and energy and activity. It may even take the apparent form of solid ground, but all of it ultimately is that same oceanic awareness, that same infinite, formless, intelligent, blissful self. Regardless of whatever conditions arise within its plane of awareness. All that arises, all that disappears, constitute the same light, the same mind nature, the same infinite intelligence. And there is no change. There is no multiplicity. There are no persons, bodies, events. Only the immutable presence that contains all, but is untouched, unaffected, undisturbed. once the real has been surrendered to fully, so that there is nothing that remains separate from that, so that no desire for separation remains. It is recognized that all but this infinite blissful self is unreal, but the unreality is a work of art, a dream that reflects that level of consciousness that has either chosen the separation of the raindrop or the oceanic wholeness. And through the simple choice of choicelessness, of removing oneself as a separate factor in existence, of the illusory space-time modulation of apparent phenomenal reality, there is one less obstacle to the manifestation of divine love in its ultimately beautiful form of a world at peace, a world of pristine beauty. A world that manifests the heart of goodness as an object of experience to itself. And so the great paradox that the ending of all separate existence creates a new dream in which the real authentically manifests as all of its infinite creative intelligence produces every sort of joy, every sort of insight, every kind of nobility, majesty, royalty, beauty that God can conjure up in our enjoyment of offering the best, the highest, the purest, the truest, the sweetest to each manifestation of that ocean, arising once more as a rain of bliss that falls upon the earth to renew life in a new cycle of time. It is this atmic hydrological cycle that makes us both the ocean, the clouds, the rain, the rivers, the delta of Sangam Yuga in which we return to that ocean, and the renewal again of a new cycle of time, a new opening of the eyes of Brahma, a new creation that emerges out of the death of the ego and the realization of God. May we have the courage and the wisdom to drop into that ocean forever. The illusion of time and space will go on, but will go on with beauty and goodness. And even the memory of the darkness of Kali Yuga will be erased. And that oceanic cycle will go through all of its permutations at ever higher levels of intelligence and wisdom and empowerment. And every sort of experience, every learning, every evolutionary development of consciousness that is possible will be given as a gift. And has been given to us always as a gift. And from that perspective of the ocean, we recognize that even the traumatic experiences are gifts. They are even the greatest gifts, for they show us our own power of self-overcoming, our power of awakening, illumination, self-liberation, the ecstasy of that eternal instant when you realize that you are that. And this eternal instant is always now.